After my wife's infidelity was revealed by her accident, I left her, filed for divorce, and exacted my retribution. I received a call from the hospital yesterday informing me that my wife, Andrea, 29, had been involved in an accident. I prayed to the Lord to keep my wife safe throughout the 35-minute trip to the hospital. She was receiving treatment when I hurried to the emergency room. Knowing that she was safe and that the accident was not life-threatening gave me a sense of relief. The nurse gave me her phone along with other items. I questioned if they were aware of the accident's cause. She stated they had notified the police and they were looking into the automobile, but the full information were not yet available. When the police showed there, they handed me a copy of their preliminary inquiry. To my surprise, she crashed into a parked car while inebriated, then veered out into a sidewalk. Fortunately, she refrained from driving to the opposite side. It would have been lethal otherwise. I became skeptical when the accident's details came to light. First of all, she was not supposed to be on the road where the collision occurred. She should have been at work on Wednesday afternoon rather than traveling 25 miles from her house. Why, secondly, would she be intoxicated in the afternoon? The police gave me a copy of the dashboard video which showed Andrea driving carelessly and blasting loud music. Her medical examination revealed the amount of alcohol. An hour was spent investigating me. Before she decided to become drunk and crash into a parked car, the police wanted to know whether she was depressed or if she had a quarrel with me. I had to show them the conversations from the previous day and yesterday. In the morning, she texted me to inquire if I would arrive home at my regular hour or later. I said what I always do, but I would let her know if I anticipated being late. She used a heart and the words "I love you" to finish the discussion. After that, I didn't speak to her on the phone, so the police couldn't assume I was the cause of her melancholy, problem, or anything else. When Andrea was returning from the accident scene, they questioned me about her activities. I had no idea, I answered. They didn't believe me at first, but after an hour-long inquiry, they approved my release. They didn't have any grounds to mistrust me. After that, I was permitted to meet Andrea. I went into her cabin and gave her a hug. She had some consciousness. She asked me where my phone was right away. I was surprised. Her only concern was her phone, even though she was still in agony and under local anesthetic. I told a falsehood, saying it was with the hospital officials. She seemed relieved. Her strange inquiry added to my suspicions, which were already clouded by the probe report. I had a lot of questions, but I chose to put them on hold while she healed. I held her till she fell asleep. I became curious about her actions. The nurse handed her phone to me, and I took it out of her bag. It was released. I charged using my power bank. It began buzzing with many alerts as soon as I turned it on. I switched it to silence. After a minute, all of the buzzing stopped, but one chat's notifications kept coming up. The locked screen prevented me from reading the message. Then someone who was identified as Corner House called. We frequently order takeout and home delivery from this little restaurant on the corner of our street. However, why was the restaurant calling her at such a late hour? I continued to look at the computer while I considered my options for a response. That number was now making around 5 consecutive calls, with the odd chat notice. The circumstantial evidence made me forget my values, even though I'm not an insecure person who constantly violates my wife's privacy. I used her fingerprints to unlock her phone. I spent the night sitting by her bed, discovering my failing marriage while she was in a deep slumber from her medicine. The chat alerts came from the same contact she had saved as Corner House, just as I had assumed. Apparently, she had stored that restaurant name and someone else's number to protect herself in case I ever saw the chat or phone alerts. I wouldn't have had any suspicions if I had seen a call from Corner House when we were at home. It became out that Andrea had been unfaithful to me for at least 6 months. The affair partner was not on my contact list when I looked up his number on my phone. His name was Kevin, according to what I could find on a calling app. I didn't know anyone with that name. Determining the exact beginning of it is challenging. Since the conversation, history was last backed up 6 months ago. I'm assuming it's at least that old. I found the conversations to be disrespectful and ridiculous. Reading about her fantasies for her affair partner while disparaging my sexual prowess was depressing. I last for no more than a blink, she told him. And in order to make me pleased, she has pretended to have an orgasm. They had been gathering at their covert location once a week, and occasionally twice a week. She was intoxicated since she had an accident on the way back from her feng session, which is why she inquired about her phone. I assumed it was only with me, but knowing Andrea, I knew they had sex since she enjoys having sex while intoxicated. But there she is, intoxicated, circling feng men. I felt sick after reading their conversations. Even while she was out with me, she would constantly sext him in the middle of the night while she was at work. They last had sex the day before when we were watching a movie. I can still clearly recall our kiss and make out when she was holding me. The idea that she had been seeing me as him all along makes me feel really repulsed. I couldn't possibly have guessed that she was planning this. We traveled, had frequent date nights, and spoke until we fell asleep. Twice a week, there was sex. After getting around to looking at what other people do, I'm not sure if this was sufficient or acceptable. The thought of not being able to satisfy her makes me sad. I may have come up with a solution if she had informed me this. She never said she wanted anything else or greater. We weren't as close as I had assumed, but I suppose we were close enough to be brutally honest with one another. The affair partner was not added to her social media accounts when I spied on them. They spoke to one another solely via phone conversations and chats. How can I locate him? Who the devil is this man who has been making my beloved wife happy? I've spent the entire night awake. I feel lightheaded now, yet I can't sleep because of my anger. I want to beat the living daylights out of the affair partner and send him to the hospital. I am unsure of my next course of action. Perhaps I should just leave this place. Oh no, Hope. What a way to discover your wife isn't as sweet as you once believed. Well done for hitting the marital dysfunction lottery. And isn't it adorable how she balanced her extracurricular activities while you were preoccupied with the idea that everything was fine? Living through a total automobile collision with your broken trust as the punchline is like being in a romantic comedy. When you're desperate to find this elusive affair partner persona, who needs sleep? Put on your detective hat, buddy, and start the crazy pursuit. Finding the affair partner is the true cerebral exercise you need, so forget about Sudoku. First update. What do you know? I packed her things, tossed away her phone, left that bee at the hospital, and disposed of them outside my house. I did a few other things as well. I will ultimately accept it. I went home after leaving the hospital, but I was really uncomfortable. I wanted to do action to alleviate my suffering. While Andrea's phone was constantly ringing with the calls and texts from the affair partner, I was pacing the house, trying to decide what to do. The fact that she wasn't responding worried that son of a bee. I had made the decision to address that issue first. As Andrea, I picked up the phone and began speaking with him. The text exchange is being pasted here. As an affair partner. Red corner. House partner in a corner home romance. Don't call, please. I don't want to be with you any longer. Text me. Why? Affair partner. Wait. What took place? For what reason are you upset with me? Are you upset with me? Are you upset with me for not staying longer? We'll spend the day together the next time. I swear. Why do you not respond? All right, let's chat first so we can resolve this. I will never meet you, corner house. Don't text me anymore. Can we get together today to talk about this? Affair partner? Why don't I come get you from work? I'll let Connie know that I'm putting in extra hours. Don't do that, corner house. I no longer love having sex with you. For me, you are nothing more than a toy. I'm no longer excited by your D. Another attractive boy caught my eye. Who is more durable than you? An equitable partner. What? I think you're playing a practical joke on me. No, I'm not a corner house. Tonight, he and I are going on a date. A companion who is fair? Avoid doing this. I adore you, you know that. I'll tell your wife everything in one more message. Your. After then, the beeping ceased. I then wrote her boss a letter of resignation after accessing her work email on her phone, requesting a speedy release. What's the reason, he asked. In response, I said that I, Andrea, am furious about the toxic workplace atmosphere, the rude employees, and the manager's tendency to take advantage of women. I also stated that I will tell management the whole truth if he didn't accept my resignation. Within minutes, the resignation was accepted. I'm glad I listened well. I found that listening to Andrea's work-related nonsense was beneficial today. I had a tiny triumph. She is currently unmarried and unemployed. She quit her job and broke up with her partner, and I have nothing to do with it. Alas. Poor girl. I withdrew all of her little funds and swiped them from her credit card. I even destroyed all of her bank records, passport, and ID cards so that there would be no evidence of them. I made the ashes flush. She will have to scrounge the gutter and rebuild it if she hopes to locate them. One triumph after another. Obtaining copies of these documents from the government authorities would take her months, if not years. At least 2 months would pass while she was stranded. Even if she discovers that these documents are missing, she cannot rush to government agencies to obtain them. When she awakens from her anesthesia-induced sleep today, she will be confronted with the first blow. From the hospital, I'm gone. No one in her family or acquaintances is aware that she is in the hospital, and she is not carrying her phone. She is not carrying her insurance information. She would have to endure every moment of her stay in the hospital, but I'm not suggesting she would remain there for a long time. She doesn't have any cash or a card to cover the medical expenses. She does not have identification with her, even if she is able to get in touch with her insurance company. Although it won't be simple, she could ask for assistance from the authorities to phone her parents or friends. 5 hours separate her and her parents' homes. We'll see if her pals can assist. I packed her clothing, accessories, and other possessions and stored them outside the home when I was satisfied with how I had done this. The hospital called me when I was in the midst of all of this. In order to talk about the discharge procedures, the doctor requested me to be there. I inquired as to when she would be released. Tomorrow, they said. I'll be there tomorrow, I said. I'm currently stuck with other things. The procedure would be delayed, they warned, and they could decide to keep her in the hospital for another day. We can manage one additional day's price, I said. Well done. A few hours later, the hospital called me once more. Andrea asked me to come this time. Sure, I replied. I came home to take a shower, baby. In an hour, I'll be there. I then gave the hospital administration explicit instructions not to allow Andrea to phone anyone. I responded. My delicate little darling needs to rest. They promised to comply and to let the duty nurse know about it. Bam. The duty nurse called me 4 times during the day to let me know that Andrea was becoming agitated and wanted me to come see her. At first I considered informing them I wouldn't be coming or ghosting them, but it would have forced her to look for other support. Rather than doing that, I continued to buy her time and left her hanging. I'll then adjust my lock to prevent her from entering my home. Tomorrow I'll also meet with my lawyer to talk about my chances of getting rid of her for free. But up until now, that's all. Well, you seem to have really embraced the spirit of retaliation, don't you? Nothing embodies relationship objectives more than abandoning your wife in the hospital, upending her life, and controlling her affairs. Why not simply dispose of her possessions outside the house? It becomes even more petty when her documents are burned and the ashes are flushed. Well done. Not to mention the brilliant move of posing as Andrea and conversing with the affair partner. Talk about entertaining. But really, when you have a list of methods to ruin your ex's life, who needs a conscience? As the grandmaster, you plan every move with a sadistic relish, making it resemble a perverted version of chess. Wow, update 2 has been rather hectic. Before ignoring the hospital administration, I tampered with them for 2 days. I repeatedly borrowed time by claiming to be out of town when they phoned to complete the discharge procedures and send her home. Andrea became skeptical of what I was doing. There was no sign of her phone. The nurse would have told her it was with me by now, but I had told her it was with the nurse. If she had done the math, she would have realized that I had found the truth. I had never abandoned her, which was another factor. She was aware that I couldn't leave her in this condition while she was in the hospital recuperating from an accident, unless there was a really compelling cause. After 2 days of playing around, I stopped interacting with them. However, I had previously kept my lawyer's information private and gathered all of the proof of Andrea's infidelity from her phone. I did this to protect myself in case the hospital called the police. When Andrea sensed that something had gone wrong, she phoned her parents. When her parents showed up at my home, they yelled at me, accusing me of leaving their daughter to die in the hospital without telling anybody. Before I showed them the picture, where their daughter was displaying her sexuality with another guy, I had them rant and then observed them calm down. They said, "We apologize for her actions, but now is not the time for retaliation. Now she needs you. You made a sacred vow to look after your wife and her illness." I answered, "Didn't she also swear that she wouldn't look for any other men besides me, her vow, whatever happened to it? I'm going to put it up her butt the way she did." My butt, vows. My statements angered them, and they got up to go, threatening to haul me to court. "Take her trash out of here on your way," I added. "She and her dirty belongings have no place in my house." They grabbed her possessions and condemned me. Andrea has probably been taken with them. Until she gets well. According to my lawyer's most recent report, she will receive the divorce papers in a week. We're going to utilize her chat talks and adultery to get rid of her. In addition, my attorney said that she and her affair partner were planning to divorce me and defraud me of my money. And I took every precaution to protect myself and avoid hurting her. Everything is going okay so far, awaiting the service of the divorce papers. Yes. Nothing brings out the skeletons from the closet quite like a family reunion. Who knew that the ultimate power play in the game of marital conflict may be to dodge discharge formalities? Update 3. She became quite anxious when she received the divorce papers. She is still in a cast and cannot move. Among the hundreds of voicemails she left me were demands for a meeting, threats and profanity. I choose to disregard it all. Then she threatened to sue me for destroying her IDs, depleting her credit card, and falsifying her resignation at work in a lengthy email. Sure, I said. If you have the resources and time to fight the matter, go ahead. You'll need a long time to establish that I did all of this. Recall that you have neither money nor a job. I have proof of adultery and humiliation, and I will provide a counter-argument if you haul me to court. You'd better accept it, sign the divorce papers, and move on. She was still refusing to sign the documents, but the pleadings and threats ceased. She sent my lawyer an email, stating that she needed to meet with me before making a decision. I was advised to meet her by my lawyer, but requested that I provide certain guidelines. Meeting in a public setting without any commitments, turbulence, physical contact, hugs, or anything else. In order to prevent her from fabricating a story about me, our chat would also be videotaped. My lawyer would be on the phone with me or join me if necessary. She accepted when I explained the directions to her. In order to save time and money, my lawyer also advised that I attempt to persuade her to accept an out-of-court settlement. I went there by myself. My attorney requested that I give him a call if necessary. I waited for her to take the lead as I set the recorder. "You played smart, you did everything to destroy me, and you were successful too," she said. "I don't have a job, money, or a boyfriend because he left me. So, you're upset with me for chasing your sweetheart away?" I asked her. "No," she answered. "I was going to get rid of him anyhow because he was a loser." I couldn't stop laughing at her lack of response. She started giggling as soon as I did. We used to talk about the men who had made an impression and chuckle at their pickup lines before dating, and it reminded me of those times. Jokes aside, I was eventually scooped up and made the target of laughs. "Why are you doing this to me?" she said. Her eyes were wet. "We had everything so lovely, so why did you cheat on me?" I asked. She didn't know how to respond. She said it had no significance and was only for fun. She referred to the affair partner as a Z-man as they were joking about. "Well, I guess I'm a simp for sitting here and talking to you after you had an affair behind my back," I remarked. "Oh, come on," she said. "Let's move on from this," I said. "I'm being civil with you. But this doesn't mean I'm going to have you back in my life. I'm never going to forgive you. You hurt me, and it was sheer betrayal. You mocked me and discussed our sex life with your affair partner. You even said that my small D went halfway into you and I didn't satisfy you." Tears welled up in my eyes as I said this. This was nothing short of humiliation for me. She held my hands and cried, apologizing. I shrugged off her hands and yelled, "No touching. Stay away from me." She pulled back. I wiped my face and said, "Even if I forgive you, I cannot stop thinking that you took our sex life outside our house and mocked me. Whenever I would kiss you or have sex with you, I would always think I'm not enough. Not just you these days. I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable around another woman. I would constantly ask myself, what if she shares Andrea's thoughts? What if I'm really not enough?" She said, sobbing once again, adding, "I said those things to the affair partner, but I didn't mean them. I just said them to gain his confidence. You are enough. I was pleased with you. I swear I never loved the affair partner, but I was a fool for getting sidetracked and cheating on you. I never considered abandoning you." I responded, "Please trust me." "Trust you?" Insisting that she would remain faithful and would never see anyone else but me, she bothered me. She was forced to sign the documents when I remarked, "Didn't you take this vow at the altar? Yet you slept with another man." "Okay," she answered, taking the papers out of her suitcase and signing them with quivering hands. As she gave me the documents, she gave me a tearful glance. I was crying, too. Now, all of my anger was leaking out as agony. "It's all over now. Over 10 years have passed since we first met." I said, "So will you be running back to the affair partner now, to defuse the situation?" "No, he no longer wants me," she responded, laughing. "He doesn't want to know that you were the one who did it. I'm not going to cheat on my wife for a flaky woman," he declared. "Too bad." "Oops. You be happy despite the pain and regret," she urged. "You received your retribution. You took everything away from me. I lost everything. I suppose I'm worthy of it." Then we went out. No farewells or embraces. I simply got up and walked away. I was thinking about what I was going to do as I drove home. Have I gone too far? Did I make the incorrect decision? Otherwise, why do I not feel satisfied with my exact retaliation? I'm not sure. Saying anything now would be premature. I must come to terms with the fact that I am now divorced. Gosh, until a few months ago I was a contented married man. And I'm divorced now. Oh no, you've gone through a lot, haven't you? From ghosting the hospital to having a heart-to-heart with your soon-to-be ex-wife. It must have been really pleasant to watch her wriggle as she signed away her married status. When you have delicious, sweet payback, who needs closure? As for those post-divorce reflections, well, welcome to the recently divorced club, where every split is accompanied with existential crises. You truly deserve your honorary degree in marital chaos, in my opinion. The first poster didn't go far enough. When she considered cheating, you had every right to respond as you did.